Let me take you to a bright Sunday morning in 18th century London. And a man by the name of Robert Robinson is walking down a street in central London. His mood is anything but sunny. And everywhere he looks around about him, there are happy men and women and families smiling and waving at one another on their way to church. But Robinson is not one of them. The church bells are ringing. He can hear them, and they remind him of a time in his life when his faith was strong. He was once fervent and passionate. He loved God, but over time he drifted away from the Lord. His love for God was once so hot, so real, but it had slowly burned out and left him dark and cold inside his heart. And as he's looking at the families and the people around him, Robinson hears the clip-clop of a horse-drawn carriage approaching him from behind. The woman leaned out the window and looked at Robinson and said, Sir, I'd be very happy to share this carriage with you. Are you going to church? Robinson was about to decline her offer, and then he paused and he said, well, yes, I am going to church, and look, I'd really appreciate the ride. So he stepped into the carriage and sat down beside the young woman. Robert Robinson introduced himself to the lady and thanked her very much for her kindness. But he noticed that when he told this young lady his name, she responded with a surprised look on her face. And she responded to him. She said, oh, this is an interesting coincidence. And she reached into her purse and she took out a little book of inspirational writings that she'd been reading. Look, I was just reading a verse written by a poet who has the name of Robert Robinson. Are you that man? And he nodded his head. He said, yes, that's me. I wrote those words years ago. He began to read the poem, the words, come, O fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing your grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. And then his eyes slipped to the bottom of the page where he read this verse. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for your courts above. Robinson could barely read those last few lines through his tears as they welled up in his eyes. And he looked at the young woman and he said to her, you know, I wrote those words and I've lived those words. And the young woman responded and said, yes. But look, you also wrote these words. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it. Mr. Robinson, you can offer your heart again to God. It's not too late. And it wasn't too late for Robert Robinson. Because in that moment, he, like the people in Josiah's day long ago, turned his heart back to God. He began to walk with God again and did so for the rest of his life. Brothers and sisters, I don't know where you are in your walk with God this morning. I don't know whether your heart has drifted away like Robinson's did. This is God's message to us this morning, that new beginnings are possible. That just like in the time of Josiah, the king of Judah, and just like Robert Robinson in 18th century London, God longs for you to come home, to come back, to have your first love restored. Are you willing to do that this morning? Wherever you are, would you renew your commitment, your covenant with God today?